One day in September, they called one morning to say, well, it's starting. And we all went to New York really a couple of times to design the transaction and try to make it work, while AB InBev was making the first approach to SAB. So we were on the 64th floor in Lazard's office, the Rockefeller Center, and working very, days and nights, and it was very exciting to be part of that.
When we first set out on looking at the deal, and I looked at the range of issues that needed to be addressed, getting all parties happy on their commercial aspects, dealing with the antitrust challenges, dealing with the structuring challenges, I actually thought it was a deal that had a 20–30% chance of being done, because maybe at best, just because everything had to go right. There were so many thing that were interdependent on each other, which needed to go well in order for the deal to happen, that it looked almost like a sort of impossible deal to do.
Their ambition here was to create the world's first truly global brewer. They were number one already, but they had no presence in Africa. They had no real presence in Australia, and there were half a dozen South American countries where they were kind of nowhere. This deal was not about the US, it was not about China, it was not about Europe, it was about those other places. They now have a presence which is a leading presence in most cases, or number two in one or two others, in every jurisdiction where they operate around the world. And there are two whole continents that they now are number one in that they were not before.
So firstly, we had Brexit occur in the middle of our deal, which led us to having to put out a best and final and a small increase on the deal. And we obviously spent a long time with both the financial advisors and the board of ABI deciding how to respond to that. And then secondly, the shareholder agitation that was going on related to Brexit. So we had obviously the hedge fund dynamic and needing to work very closely with all of the comms and the PR advisors to make sure that that vote could get delivered and that we would have a successful outcome.
Sabina Chalmers, the GC, called and said, so what do you feel about a $3 billion break fee? To be honest with you, it wasn't a huge surprise, because I knew there was going to be a big number and it was going to be around that. And I said, well, we have our regulatory strategy. If we do what we said we're going to do, then yes, this can be done. But it was a moment, kind of turned the phone off and thought to myself, I think that we did predict pretty accurately what was going to happen. There were one or two places where we got a better result than we expected, like Canada, and there were one or two places where we got a more painful remedy than we expected, like Ecuador. But net, I think it was pretty accurate.